Hey, I'm Joe with RevZilla, and today we're going to take a look at the Twin Air air filter lineup available at RevZilla.com. So you might be interested in some Twin Air products if you're a dual sport or dirt bike rider. Twin Air makes air filters and other products primarily for off-road machines. They've been in the business since 1972, and they were the first to produce washable and reusable air filters for off-road bikes. They have molds for over 1,500 different models dating back to 1965. That's bananas. That is a lot of different kinds of motorcycles. So let's dive into the construction of some of these filters here. As the name implies, there's two different types of filter foam that these are made of. There's a coarse cell foam on the outside that's flame laminated to a finer cell foam on the inside. And those two layers are flame bonded. It's a polyester-based material, which gives them really great performance and durability. So from a performance standpoint, these filters can hold a considerable amount of filter oil. Now, filter oil is very tacky, and what that does is allows these filters to trap even the finest dust particles to protect your engine. Also, Twin Air bench flows all these filters to be sure that they flow the appropriate amount of air for your engine, so it won't inhibit performance. So from a durability standpoint, we find that these filters can usually hold up to about 5 or so washes and re-oils before they need replacement. Now, obviously, you don't want to go tearing these things apart. They're still just foam, of course, but if you're gentle with the washing and re-oiling process, you can really stretch out the lifespan of these filters, which will save you a considerable amount of money over time since you're not buying a new filter each time. You can just clean and reuse them. So let's dive into some of the different options that they carry. So traditionally you'll find a dry filter option. Of course, if you already have some filter oil at home, that's going to save you a few bucks up front. Just be sure you oil that appropriately before you throw it in your bike. And then my favorite option is the factory pre-oiled. So you just take this right out of the bag and throw it in the bike. It's already got filter oil on it. So that's a really cool option to save some time up front. Now, of course, this is just as washable and re-oilable as the dry filters, but it just saves you that first step. So another thing in the motorcycle world that I never thought I'd really like, that's one of my favorite things, is a filter for my air filter. This is their dust cover, so it's a pre-filter option. So what's neat about this is that where we ride, where it's very, very dusty, if it doesn't rain for a few days, is that this pre-filter gets oiled and will trap most of the dirt before it even gets to the main filter. So it's a bit easier to clean and re-oil this particular pre-filter versus the main filter. Usually I'll clean and re-oil this maybe 3 or so times before I even need to consider cleaning and re-oiling the main filter. So it really stretches out the service interval of the main filter as well. So one thing to note about the pre-filter though is that it's not designed for use in wet weather. So you want to pull that off if you're going to go on a wet ride. So in addition to those options, they have some performance upgrades. They have the Power Flow kit, which is really neat. They include a billet filter cage. The factory filter cage in a lot of bikes is just plastic, and it can get warped over time. And why that's really critical is the fact that obviously you want the lip of the filter cage to seal up really nicely against the air intake boot inside your airbox. So if the filter cage is warped in your bike, it's just going to let all the dirt and air through the side of the filter instead of going through the filter itself, and it's just going to go right in your engine. So it's really nice to have a very stiff filter cage there. So what you'll see with the 4-stroke kit is that gets rid of the factory backfire screen that's in a lot of those bikes, which can be restrictive to airflow. So with the 4-stroke kits, the PowerFlow 4-stroke kits, is that they have a backfire resistant filter element there. You can get away with not having that screen anymore. So just be sure that if you do have a PowerFlow kit for your 4-stroke bike, that you do replace it with the backfire resistant air cleaner element. So that's going to cover all the different options that Twin Air carries as far as the filters and everything go, but we talked a lot about the serviceability and the maintenance factor of these and how great that is. So just be mindful that Twin Air does offer a full line of products to clean and service the filter and clean and re-oil the filter. So I just want to explain what that process is like in case anyone really isn't that familiar with it. It's not something you're going to want to do the morning you're leaving for a ride. It is kind of a lengthy process. It's kind of like a rainy day job. You'll take that dirty filter and soak it in the solvent, and then you'll let that solvent break up the oil, and you'll massage the dirt out of the filter. Then you'll set that filter aside to dry. And then once the filter is dry, you'll soak the clean filter in clean filter oil. You make sure that it's completely submerged and you massage the oil into it and make sure it's very evenly distributed. Generally with filter oil, it's kind of slimy when you go to put it in, and then it tacks up over time. So it's really important to let it tack up before you go out for a ride. The tackiness and the stickiness of that filter oil is what traps the dust and dirt in the filter and keeps it from going in your engine. So just be mindful that that isn't a job that you're going to tackle just in a few minutes. It's kind of an overnight job. So since it's a lengthy job, generally what us folks at RevZilla do that ride dirt bikes, we'll get 4 or 5 filters that are stacked up and dirty, and then we'll clean and re-oil them all in one shot. And what's cool about Twin Air is that the replacement filter elements come in these resealable bags. So once you clean and re-oil the filters, you can put those fresh filters back in those bags and put them up on the shelf for use at a later date, which makes it really easy to grab a couple if you're going to go away for a long ride weekend or you got a pretty stacked up race season left. It's nice to have those filters ready to rip. Just be mindful that Twin Air's claim to fame is air cleaners. I mean, most of us dirt bike riders here run them in our own bikes, but don't take our word for it. Click the info button on your desktop or mobile device to see what other riders have to say about Twin Air. And if you have any questions about these products or anything else on our website, feel free to reach out to one of our gear geeks at 877-792-9455 or shoot an email over to cs@revzilla.com. Thanks for watching our video today about Twin Air. I'm Joe, and I'll see you next time.